This is Kinky Friedman, and I listen to John Broughton on Retrospectives on 3SER KC Radio. You should too. Why the hell not?
Now, this tour has come pretty much out of the blue for us, a bit of a surprise considering your main focus in recent years has been with your books. Have you felt a need to get back in front of an audience again?
Well, there's a little bit of Judy Garland in me, you know. The books definitely have become the financial pleasure for the Kinkster recently, the past few years. Of course, as I always point out, money may buy you a fine dog, but only love can make it wag its tail. And one of the things I love to do, I guess, is perform. I recently, in the past few years, have come back into contact with little Juford, who's the last surviving member of the Texas Jew Boys. And Juford and I had been out of touch for about 20 years. And we got back together and we did a tour of Europe last fall, which was 42 different cities, 12 countries. And we made a CD of it called Classic Snatches from Europe. It's out on Sphincter Records out of Houston. But it's an extremely funny CD, if I say so myself. And Juford is a riot. He plays keyboards and kazoo and so forth. But Juford will be on tour with us, and I think Australia is really going to love Juford. He's a very, very humorous American. He's an idiot savant. Anyway, so we're gonna do this. Take the same tour we did in Europe to Australia, except we're doing books as well. There'll be books available at all the concerts.
Right. So the live album, which I was actually listening to last night, and you're right, is a very funny record. So that is pretty much a representation of what we're going to see down here.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we'll do all the old favorites, and as a special bonus, we're bringing along Mike McGovern, one of the Village Irregulars, who wrote the cookbook Eat, Drink, and Be Kinky, which will be coming out on Faber and Faber in the fall in Australia. And Mike will be there to read, I don't know what he's going to read, some recipes from his book. I wrote the introduction for Eat, Drink, and Be Kinky, and I think it's one of my greatest efforts yet.
So with the author in you taking priority, the one thing you probably have missed more than anything else has been the audience contact?
Yeah. There's that. Of course, I kind of now have taken kind of a Willie Nelson attitude. I sign autographs in the rain. You know, I think that every audience is probably the same audience. Maybe at some West Texas beer hall or something like this. And although my audiences are kind of schizophrenic because a lot of them are coming just because of the books, and they really haven't heard the music.
Oh, right.
And a lot of others have heard the music and are not familiar with the books. So you've got an interesting and diverse crowd right there.
Yeah, for sure.
And we'll sign all those, and then of course these shows have been going very well. They've been really they've been fun actually. A lot of that is little Juford, I think. So I'm no longer Sirhan party of one. You know.
Now going back, you studied psychology in your younger years. Were you ever close to making a career from that?
I don't think so. First of all, I don't remember much of it. I've pretty well forgotten the first half of my life. So all I remember is that I was in this very advanced liberal arts program at the University of Texas. Mainly, it was called Plan 2. And Plan 2 was mainly distinguished by the fact that every student in it had some form or other of facial tic. And when I graduated, I joined the Peace Corps. And I worked in Borneo in the jungle as an agricultural extension worker. And my job was to distribute seeds downriver. And in 2.5 years, the Peace Corps never sent me any seeds, so I was reduced to distributing my own seed downriver, which had some rather unpleasant repercussions. And I guess my job description really was, what I was doing was helping people who'd been farming successfully for over 2,000 years to improve their agricultural methods.
I think I read somewhere about teaching them how to use a Frisbee too, is that right?
That's correct. I did bring the Frisbee to Borneo. Some of the natives stole the Frisbees and used them to make their lips big, which set my program back rather severely.
Tell us about King Arthur and the Carrots, a band that you were involved with in those early days.
Yeah, it was my first group, King Arthur and the Carrots. Very short-lived. We did a few Beach Boy parodies, I think. And I think that group got me deselected from the Peace Corps. Who thought that I wasn't really, my heart wasn't in it. But then I got in another Peace Corps program, and I finally wound up in Borneo. First I learned Swahili and got deselected, so I had to learn Malay. Now if I'm drunk, if I'm really walking on my knuckles, I can speak both languages. But only if I'm really out where the buses don't run.
When you formed the Texas Jew Boys, did you have a fairly good idea of the musical direction you wanted to go with that group?
Well, I think we were innocents. For some reason we thought that because some of the songs were hits, and the way they'd been recorded on Pearls in the Snow, which is the previous CD, by Willie Nelson and Dwight Yoakam and Lyle Lovett, Guy Clark, people like that, some of them could have been hits, I think. I think that something about the whole where the Texas Jew Boys were coming from prevented us from, between Proud to be an Asshole from El Paso and They Ain't Making Jews Like Jesus Anymore, songs like Rapid City, South Dakota, and Sold American, and Autograph, and Nashville Casualty in Life just kind of were lost like pearls in the snow, which was a great financial loss for the Kinkster, but a spiritual loss for America at the time. Of course, America can sustain any number of spiritual losses and still keep rolling.
We'll keep rolling on.
Yeah.
I heard you describe one time as someone who was politically incorrect before that term was commonly used. Did you see your songwriting that way, or did you ever set out to offend?
Well, not really. I kind of, I was very surprised that we didn't hit with, more. I was surprised that we didn't have big hits with Sold American and songs like that. And I guess it was because the old man Lucas had a lot of mucus and things like that that kept the other stuff from happening. But no, we didn't deliberately set out to shock anybody. In fact, we were a country band with a social conscience, which, looking back, was a rather ridiculous idea.
I believe the National Organization of Women once dubbed you the Chauvinist Pig of the Year.
That's right, 1974, the Male Chauvinist Pig of the Year award. An award I'm still very proud of. Yeah, we got that, and then some of the language that we might have used might have been very offensive back then. These days I'm a little more mellow. I never like to say fuck in front of a CHILD if I can avoid it. But at these concerts I will sing the songs that made me infamous and read from the books that made me respectable.
Now, you took part in Bob Dylan's Rolling Thunder review. What are your memories of that?
Well, I was flying on about 11 different kinds of herbs and spices through most of that. One thing I observed was that performing in front of maybe up to 50,000 people sometimes is easier than playing for a couple hundred people.
Really?
Yeah, you're already a star when that happens. And it's like Robert Frost said, hell is a half-filled auditorium. So fortunately, we've been drawing really well on this tour. Europe is very big for the Kinkster. I'm kind of becoming the Mark Twain of Europe right now. And Juford and I, in fact, we played Brussels, where I formerly worked as NATO commander, and we were on a train through Austria. And in 1 hour, we passed Mozart's birthplace, Hitler's birthplace, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's birthplace, the story of mankind. And the Germans and Austrians they really they went crazy over the concerts. And as you may know, the Germans are my second favorite people, and my first is everybody else. Lord have mercy.
You pursued a political career in the mid-'80s.
Briefly, in 1986, I ran for Justice of the Peace in Kerrville, Texas, and my fellow Kerverts returned me to the private sector. And my campaign slogan was, if you elect me the first Jewish Justice of the Peace, I'll reduce the speed limits to 54.95. I'm not bitter about it, about losing. I think politics' loss has been literature's gain.
Sure. What else do you think you could have offered as a politician had you been successful?
Not a damn thing, actually. I'm kind of glad I stayed away from it. Now I understand we have a Jew on the ticket for vice president. Al Gore has just elected, what's his name, Lieberman.
Oh, yes.
For vice president, so we'll see what that does. But no, I don't. I'm just the oldest living Jew in Texas who doesn't own any real estate right now.
So what turned you to writing books to begin with?
Desperation, emptiness. You know, there was nothing happening. The musical career wasn't really going anywhere. I was snorting a lot of Peruvian marching powder up there in New York, playing the Lone Star Cafe. And I borrowed Mike McGovern's typewriter and I wrote Greenwich Killing Time. And 29 publishers rejected that manuscript, by which time we knew we were holding a very hot property.
Mm-hmm.
And now it looks like we're going to have a movie deal based on the books. I'd always, Willie Nelson and I had wanted to be in the movie Roadkill, kind of both of us in the movie and then having actors portray us, too, at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
And we figured that F. Murray Abrams could play Willie Nelson. And the guy that would play Kinky, the best guy we could think of, was Lionel Richie. But the theme song would be "Cowboys are frequently secretly fond of each other." But that never came to pass. So we'll have to see what happens.
So the novelist side of you more or less took over right from the beginning, then.
Well, the book started to take off. The Mile High Club is the new one, number 13. I don't think it'll be out by the time of the tour in Australia, but all the other 12 will be available. And I'm finding writing the books is a lot more. I don't know. My dream was always to be a country singer like Dwight Yoakam. You know, have a tour bus and everything, or to be like Willie Nelson, the hillbilly Dalai Lama. But it's just. Whatever, if you dream of becoming a country singer as a child, you'll wind up a best-selling novelist every time. It's a little trick God plays on us. So now I'm busy killing as many trees as I can.
Which is harder to do, write a song or a novel?
Much easier to write a novel, actually.
Yeah,
and I wondered why Willie and Bob Dylan and Chris Christopherson haven't written any prose. For that matter, they haven't written a great song in about 20 years, have they? And I don't know what it is. Either nobody writes past a certain age. Older people can't write as well, or probably I suspect they've had too much success.
Yeah.
And success in your own lifetime is the enemy. It's a bad thing. It's the kiss of death for immortality. For instance, nobody's going to even remember who Garth Brooks is. They won't remember a single song of his, and nobody will be reading any John Grisham books or Mary Higgins Clark books in about 20 years. They'll probably be reading Charles Bukowski. So really, you've got to be cross-addicted to alcohol and Gorilla Biscuits and a lot of other drugs, probably. And I suggest also that it's good to, if you can, arrange to die in a pauper's grave like Van Gogh and Mozart and Oscar Wilde. That's not a real dog. That's a hush, Gooey. Hush. That's a tape recording of a dog.
Oh,
to make me appear more homespun.
Oh, it's very authentic
and folksy. Or you could arrange not to have a grave at all, like Jesus or Anne Frank.
Yeah.
And those kind of people really reach across the centuries to us and inspire us. The people that were real successful in their own lifetimes, we rapidly forget. All the dogs, by the way, might be a good lead-in to the Utopia Rescue Ranch.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, which is something we've been working on for the past few years. And we rescue dogs from the pound, and we take in strays, all kinds of animals. And we, right now, I've been working with these abused dogs for a while. I don't really do the work on the ranch. Two other people, Nancy and Tony, run the place. My role is described as Gandhi-like figure. But I do a lot of promotion for the ranch, and just seeing these abused animals has made me, I would probably be a Buddhist today if it weren't for Richard Gere.
You're well known.
Anybody interested, by the way, John, anyone who wants to contact us. Check utopiarescue.com.
Okay, I'll make sure I give that one out again
Yeah.
too. You're a well-known animal lover. Would you trust an animal over a human being anytime?
Anytime, of course.
Yep.
People just don't have it, I'm beginning to believe. Like the aforementioned Charles Bukowski, he just thought the human race might not have it. It's possible that we don't. We keep following this little beacon of light for thousands of miles and across the millennium. And when we get there, it's always Joan of Arc with her hair on fire.
Book publishers, how are they to deal with compared to record companies?
They're a little better, but I still view myself as an aging black blues artist. In other words, I don't really keep track of the financial area there very much.
Yeah.
They seem to be a little more honest. Yeah, it's definitely been more of a financial pleasure for the Kinkster than the music has been. So that's one thing.
And I believe your president is a bit of a fan.
Yeah, he is. Bill and I have been pen pals for a while. Somebody came by a book signing in Austin, Texas about 6 years ago and asked me to sign one for the president. And so I signed See You in Hell or Yours in Christ or something like that. I didn't think it was really going to go anywhere. Yes. Zane? Hi. I'm doing an interview here with Australia. What's up?
No, I'll wait.
You'll be around? Okay, just hang fire for a few minutes. That's a young cowboy from next door.
Oh, right.
Yeah. The hell was I yapping about?
The president.
Yeah, president. So Bill wrote me, and a couple weeks later I got a letter from the White House. And Bill said, I've now read all your books. More, please. I really need the laughs. So I wrote him back, and he wrote me back, and so forth. Eventually he invited me to the White House. And we'll see how all that was nice. It was pretty cool.
Excellent. You have a golden rule to writing a good mystery?
I thought a golden rule for life. I do, yeah, which is find what you like and let it kill you. But as far as for writing, well, I don't. I think the absence of self-doubt is the best thing you can have going for yourself. The best arrow in your quiver.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the unaimed arrow never misses. So, as we say in Hawaii. So I don't do a lot of research, and I don't worry about what people are going to think. And I just write. And so I've been pretty prolific. I've got 2 more books finished now after the Mile High Club. By the way, are you a member of the Mile High Club?
I can't say that I am.
No, I'm not either, which is disappointing to me. I would think I would be. Bill Clinton is a member, and Willie Nelson is a member, of course. But there's still time. There's not that much time, since, as you may know, my personal goals are to be fat, famous, financially fixed, and a faggot by 55. And, of course, I'm 55 now.
I won't ask him.
I'm achieving success in certain of these areas.
Is there any danger that music would lose you altogether, that you throw all the concentration on the books?
Well, I don't think so. I think the books are bringing the music back. It's all in kind of a strange way because none of it is industry driven. When I was in Germany, I was shocked. The books are bestsellers in Germany for some perverse reason. And when I was in Nuremberg, a guy after a show, they listen to me like I'm like I'm Edith Piaf or something in Germany, and very attentive, guilt-ridden, young, youthful audiences. And a guy had a book there, God Bless John Wayne, in German, and he said, would I sign it for his kid? And I said, how old's your kid? He says, 1 year old. He says, but when he's old enough to read, this is the first book I'm going to give him. And I mean, you can't hate people like that. I don't know. I also, the Germans also told me that if Garth Brooks came over there, he would have no cult audience at all. They could probably get up 1,000 people to see him, or a few thousand if they, did a lot of promotion. But there's nobody in the whole country. In fact, there's very few people anywhere else outside of America that care very much about Garth Brooks, or any of these mainstream guys. They're kind of space takers,
Mm-hmm.
in the same way as Harold Robbins was the biggest novelist in the world in the 40s and 50s. And how many times have you seen anybody reading a Harold Robbins book?
I'd say that I have.
They just discard them. And so, I mean, everybody wants to be a bestseller, I suppose. That's part of the game. But what I'm doing, I'm really starting to enjoy, and it's about time, because I've been pretty miserable for about 49 years, so it's about time things start
to look up. Enjoy, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, the tribute album, Pearls in the Snow. How did all that come together? I believe you were pretty heavily involved in that.
Yeah, the tribute album is it's rare to get a tribute album before you've been bugled to Jesus. So this is a kind of an oddity. I can't think of very many where the person has not been bugled to Jesus first before he gets a tribute album. But me and Casey Jones and Captain Midnight were in Nashville deciding we just talked, why don't we try to do this? And Casey asked what happened to all those beautiful songs I wrote, and I said nothing. So we decided we'd do something, and Willie stepped in first, and I think we would have had Bob Dylan and Steve Earle too, except for illness and just geography that kept them apart. Lyle Lovett wanted to record They Ain't Making Jews Like Jesus Anymore, but Ray Benson of Asleep at the Wheel produced the session, and he talked him out of it, which might have been a mistake, I'm not sure, although he did a great job with Sold American. And Tom Waits is another one that's real hard to get. His recording of Highway Cafe is terrific.
Did any of those versions on the album make you see the song in a different light?
Yes, all of them did.
They all did?
Yeah, I mean, as one reviewer said, Kinky Friedman never sounded so good, Of course, where were these guys 20 years ago? But you couldn't pay these guys, most of them, to record for you. That's the nice thing. I mean, if you give them $1 million, they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
And why the record is so good, and it really is because they didn't have much time to do it or money. They just had to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
So, with almost no exceptions, there's just some great cuts on this thing.
I believe you only had one artist turn you down.
That's right. Yeah, that was that was a little ugly incident with K.D. Lang. And the idea was to send her the song, Get Your Biscuits in the Oven and Your Buns in the Bed, which we did. And apparently she's a humorless, constipated prig. And her manager called us back and said she was not interested. So we missed that one.
It was worth a try.
Yeah, it was. It would have been a great career move for her, I think. It would have been a good lick for her, as we say. Good lick. But she passed on it, so Tom Paul Glaser picked up the torch. So that left us with about 15 men, I think, on the CD. Kind of a gay men's choir effect.
What criteria did you use in selecting the artists to appear?
Well, we started with Willie and Bob Dylan originally, and a few others jumped in, and then everybody else kind of called us. It was really pretty easy. There's a few of these guys like Tom Waits and Guy Clark that are real hard to get, that are grumpy and, only do what they want to do. And Lyle called us, for instance, said he'd like to be on the record. Things like that. So it wasn't hard to put together, and I stayed the hell away from the recording.
Did you?
Yeah. That's always a good idea for the songwriter not to be around. And it went real well. So I think we've got, I think Pearls in the Snow is really something to have. And Willie's version of Ride 'em Jew Boy is already getting enormous play in a lot of places. It's kind of it's really a good one. But yeah, that record required no effort on my part. Neither did Classic Snatches from Europe, which Little Juford put together on Sphincter Records, as I believe I mentioned.
Yep.
The motto of his record company is "Leaving our competitors behind." Pretty funny.
And just to wind up, Kinky, what do you think of the state of country music today?
Well, I was the first one to call Garth Brooks the anti-Hank. And I just feel it's kind of it's obviously lost its an emotional heritage right now, and probably it will swing back. I saw an interview recently with Willie, where on what was it on? It's on CNBC, or a cable station, And the interviewer was in New York talking to him, and he said, Willie was talking about traveling around the country with Ray Price when he was just starting out, you know. And the interviewer said, should we know who Ray Price is? And Willie thought for a minute, and he said no. So, here's a guy doing the interview doesn't even know who Ray Price is. It's kind of let you wonder. But I really believe that in another couple of, not very long, I don't think anybody's grandchildren is going to know a Garth Brooks song. And I think the songs that, maybe if our grandchildren will remember anything, they may be singing, by that time, they may be still singing a song of the guy who died in the back of the Cadillac. Or maybe a Willie Nelson song. And they may be reading or listening to a Townes Van Zandt song. That's more likely than a Garth Brooks or a Tim McGraw or these guys.
Well, we can only hope.
Yeah, I think it's true. I don't think the mainstream runs very deep. And so I look forward to the future, and we really look forward to this Australian tour, because the Australians are definitely not hung up like the Americans. That's a very, very nice quality.
We're all very excited about your tour. We're really looking forward to seeing you.
We're sexually aroused. We're in the full crouch position. I can't wait for them to meet Little Juford and Mike McGovern.
Fantastic. No, we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great night out. So you're playing 2 nights at the Continental, right. August 23rd and 24th, I think it is, off the top of my head. I'll double check on that before I put this to air.
Okay.
And a reading down at the Comedy Club as well.
Right, and then some kind of pointy-headed intellectual writers workshop happening on, the 27th or something like that?
Yeah, that's about right.
Anyway, we're going to turn on the juice and cut the damn thing loose. It's going to be good.
Fantastic, Kinky. Thanks for your time today.
Well, thank you very much.
Take care of yourself over the next couple of weeks, and we'll look forward to seeing you down here in Melbourne again.
Great, John, and just remember, if you're driving, don't forget your car. Lord have mercy.
Great advice.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kinky.
Okay.
All the best.